Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Intuitive Exploration Newsletter. And this is talking about the collective insights from last week of shifting your perspective. So, I asked three questions, and I really want to just talk about one of them. And the question was, when life doesn't go as planned, what helps you shift your perspective? And the top four things that majority of people who took it answered was looking for the lesson, taking time to reflect before responding, trusting that everything happens for a reason, and prayer or meditation, which is really awesome because those are the things that I also do when I go through something that seems really challenging and tough and I'm feeling all the feelings and all the emotions. I do take time to reflect before responding. I do my best at that because, sometimes we can be in a situation, especially with another person, and all we want to do is just our initial reaction of how we're feeling in that moment. But instead, I want you to kind of refrain yourself from having that initial emotional reaction. Take a deep breath and just really think about what happened and think about how you want to respond instead of react. And when you do that, you're going to really change the energy of what's happening in that situation. And you also help to change the outcome, right? Usually, if you're reacting to a situation very strongly and a lot of emotions are coming up, whether that's sadness or anger, usually you know where that'll go. The other person will either shut down, leave, yell, whatever else. But when you change the way that you're responding, that you would, instead of how you normally react, into changing it into how you choose to respond, majority of the time it'll shift the energy in the situation and you'll have a different outcome. So that's what I like to do. Also, I do like to self reflect a lot, even after the fact, or if I need to step away from what was happening to self reflect, then I'll do that because sometimes you need time to yourself. Sometimes you need time to think, to collect yourself, to really feel the emotions, but also come from an observer perspective of, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way. Why is it making me feel this way? And with the information given and how I feel, how do I want to proceed? And then come back to the situation and then come back to that person and do your best to respond from a place of compassion, kindness, and love by seeing their perspective in what's happening. Because a lot of the times we just want to react with how we feel about it, but we should also take the time to see their perspective and why they are reacting that way or why they're behaving that way. It's usually something deeper, and if we take the time to understand them, then things will shift for us and things could shift for them. Next thing is trusting that everything happens for a reason. Everything that comes up in my life, I know it came up for a reason, and it's for me to address it, for me to look at it, for me to shift it, right? There's something within me that's coming up and is being reflected from that person. That person is bringing these emotions up so that I can address them and so that I can move to that next level of, okay, Laura, there's these things that are within you. It's time for it to come out. And why is that happening? And then you do, again, going back to that self reflection. But it's a lot of the times the other person is just reflecting back what's within you. And it's kind of like that saying where when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like you're waiting for the mirror to change its expression. You're waiting for the mirror to smile, but you're not smiling. So in that sense, you're the one that's supposed to smile, and then the mirror reflects the smile. So if there's something in your external reality that's happening that you don't like, well, it's something that's within you that you need to shift in order for that to reflect externally. And looking for the lesson, that's also tied into trusting that everything happens for a reason, right? What was the lesson that came up for why that happened? And usually, sometimes it won't show up right away. Sometimes you might know, but sometimes you have to wait later on down the road and then you reflect back and be like, oh, that's why that happened. And for example, for me, going through the divorce, like, why did that happen? Oh, because during my whole relationship, I didn't love myself enough to set those boundaries. I didn't love myself enough to stop being with someone who's cheated on me. So it's like looking for the lesson in the situation later on. Really reflect on your life, especially those things that you felt like they were just left in the wind and they didn't have complete closure. Really look back and reflect on why did that happen, right? To find that peace within that situation. And for me, it was I needed to develop more self love, love for myself. I needed to create those boundaries. And it was also the catalyst to me being who I am today and everything that I've learned and what I do now. And if it wasn't for that, that's the blessing in disguise, then I wouldn't have known all these things that I do now, which is the hugest blessing. But again, the lesson was I needed to love myself more. So look at your life. What are the lessons? What do you need to reflect on? Why are things happening? And remember, your inner reality is a reflection of your external reality. So that's all I have to say about collective insights. And every week in the email newsletter, we will be having questions like this and we'll talk about it. So if you would like to be part of this, I'd love for you to join my email newsletter and engage. All right, lots of love to you. Bye.